Good evening, YouTube. This is Tyre Metalhead Weatherman. I hope you guys have had a good Tuesday. A little bit behind schedule with the video here. Do apologize for that. But today is a tropical outlook. There have been a few changes here. Just going to go ahead and jump right on into it here. For example, our first big change is we now have Tropical Depression 12. This just formed this afternoon, or actually about this evening, my time. I got a notification about it maybe 3 hours ago. I think it probably came in at the 5 o'clock advisory. But this is expected to be a very short-lived system right here. This is almost certainly going to be a fish storm at this point. No surprises there, really, to be honest. This is the one that everyone, myself included, has been talking about. This area to the east of the Windward Islands here. We're watching this area for possible development. Still uncertainty about where it's going to go once it starts to develop. I've been starting to see a few more scenarios playing out to where it ends up looking to hit maybe Mexico, maybe Belize even. But after that, it's a huge question mark. Go ahead and take a look at both of these on satellite. Go ahead and put this in motion here. And here is TD12 right here. Not a lot of spin to it, but just enough to where we can tell that there is something there. And then over here is Invest 92L. Now 92L is one we're concerned about because if you remember correctly, it was right around here where we had storms like Ian and Fiona forming, and then there we go. Then once they started forming, there we go. We had Puerto Rico getting involved with Fiona, and then of course we don't even need to say what happened with Ian. Really, both those storms were devastating in their own rights, and most likely will be retired. And this is an interesting feature right here. Don't think this amounts to anything, but I'll keep an eye on that as well. But yeah, these both Ian and Fiona formed right here. So of course this will be watched with a little bit more interest than TD12. So we'll race through this part real quick and we'll jump right into the nitty gritty, mainly about TD12, just kind of verifying everything about that real quick before we talk a little bit more about 92L here. By the way, if I didn't mention in that last little bit there, I actually have made a playlist of of both the timeline of Ian and Fiona being covered on this channel. So I will leave those I'll leave those playlists up in the corners of the screen here. But here's TD12 right here. Here's another look at the radar imagery before it went dark. But not super organized, very small, not expected to last long, is indicated here, but it does look like it might make that 40 mile per hour mark, thus giving it the next name on the list, which would be Julia. So we'll go ahead and take a quick look at it, at its track and its intensity forecast as well. Again, not a not a long life expected with the storm, and not to mention it's just in a relatively unfavorable environment, and the upper level winds around this region are going to increase as well, making what's already a relatively difficult environment for the storm to develop even more difficult. All right, so now we're going to. Okay, I can't find what I'm looking for here. Might have passed it. Oh, yeah. It, believe it or not, it's been a little bit before since the last time I've been on a cyclocane here, so I guess I've forgotten already. But we can clearly see right here. This makes it to about tropical storm, but not much further beyond it. There's one model that gives it up to about maybe 50, 52 knots, which would make it a 60 mile per hour storm in a most optimistic scenario for the storm, so to speak. But either way, honestly, me looking at the spaghetti models relatively meaningless right now because, there's nothing here. It's just going to be a fish storm. But figured since I'm doing a tropical outlook, I might as well do it right and cover everything. But now we get to the part where everyone wants to know about. What is 92L about to do? So the chances of, by the way, we'll go back to this real quick, and over the next 5 days, there is a 80% chance of 92L developing into a tropical depression or named storm. I concur with this because when we looked at the satellite imagery as well, we'll go back and look at it one more time. You can see a decent amount of spin with it. You can see increased convection and what looks to be a center of circulation developing. So this thing looks like it's beginning to gain some real ground here. Gonna cause some inclement weather around South America. Wow, I was really about to call it South Carolina. But the northern islands of South Carolina, the Windwards, and the ABC Islands. I'm not sure where the ABCs are. I think they're actually somewhere around here. But a lot of these regions should be expecting heavy rainfall, some gusty winds from this tropical system right here, or tropical wave. But let's go ahead and look at the models here. We're going to start out with the GFS operational. Ensembles aren't going to really show me too much because it's already there at this point. And more than likely the ensembles haven't even loaded yet. And we can move forward here and we'll take a look at this system begin to make its way towards Mexico, maybe even towards Belize and the Yucatan. Starts to get its act together really quickly, especially by the middle of next week. Looks to become almost a major hurricane by this point. It'll be interesting to see what it does. Gets into the Yucatan, starts to weaken, and it looks like it kind of meanders there for a bit, which could make for a really interesting scenario. And then after that, we don't know what it does. It almost seems as if the GFS has this just kind of making its way towards the hook of Mexico, so to speak, and it just gets stuck there, which would be a pretty bad scenario for these guys. Actually, the storm would actually have a lot more time to rain itself out, cause a big flooding situation. There'd be some pretty significant storm surge as well, from the looks of it, especially towards the southeastern part of Central America here on the coast. I'm not sure which country this is. I'm not super familiar with Mexico, so I'm not going to try to bother acting like I know. But, well, we'll keep an eye on this, and then we'll see what it does after that point. We'll go ahead and look at the Euro as well before we get this video done here. This only goes up to about 90 hours, so we're going to actually run back to 12Z here. Okay, so pretty much the same scenario playing out here. This is what we have going on with 92L. Likely, this actually has it as a slightly weaker storm. Does end up becoming a named storm from the looks of it, and it's pretty much the same look. It actually this version of the Euro has it going out to the Pacific, and then we have this feature here, which is really interesting. I'll have to take a look at that. I did see something that looked eerily similar on the last tropical update I did. I'm not entirely sure, so I'll have to take a closer look at that. But we can clearly see that looks like another named storm, potentially. Of course, this is getting pretty far out in the model run, so I'll have to take that with a grain of salt. But both operational runs don't have this going to the U.S. at this time, which is great news. I'm pretty sure everyone in Florida is happy to hear that. And no one in the Gulf Coast really wants to smoke with any of these storms. I don't think anyone does, to be honest. But also Cuba, Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, Jamaica, all these guys are also happy too. But we'll be watching you guys over the week. I'll try to cover this for anyone Mexico, so to speak. But yeah, it really looks like that's all I got for this video as far as the tropics are concerned. I'll be back tomorrow with another video that'll be talking about this storm system right here that's coming in. It's a pretty big one from the looks of it. And we're also going to talk about the cool down then. But that'll be for tomorrow. As far as tonight's concerned, I'm signing off. This has been Tired Metalhead Weatherman. I'll see you guys again soon.